Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Chantal Mayberg, and I have an amazingly interesting guest, or two guests today. You guys have met Jerry Marzinsky when we did the Tales of Survival from the Dark Side conference, who has an incredible, also his stories to tell, understanding that schizophrenia is not hallucinations or voices in the head, but really rather attachments and entities. So, and today we have with us an amazing guest, a lady called Jinean Florom. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Jinean. Wow, what a story. And I'm just going to give you the basic outline, and then I'm going to let the two of them go ahead with their conversation. But Jinean has got a really tragic story to tell about her son, who has taken the lives of four people, um, psychotic, threatened his mom, currently in a high security prison. The reason Jinean is choosing to tell her story here is for healing and for people to hear and heal, and for us to actually open up a platform where we can talk about these things, where these topics are no longer taboo. This must be the new normal, where we talk about the tragedies and our pains and these things so that we can share and we can heal. And it's a great privilege for me to meet you, Jinean. Welcome. How are you doing today? I think you're on mute.
I'm well, and thank you. It's an honor to be here, Chantel. Thank you, and thank you, Jerry, for the both of you for the invitation to be able to share my story. And if you don't mind, I'd like to let all of you know, all listeners, the topics that are going to be discussed are very deep. And
Right.
if you have children, you need to remove them from the room. That's about
Yeah,
the simplest way for me to put it.
absolutely. We will definitely trigger warning. Anyone who has recently um, encountered any kind of demonic experience would highly recommend that you maybe think about watching this first before you watch it.
Mhm.
Um, Trigger warning for anyone who's been through any type of trauma like this. So we just want to put it out there for you guys. Jerry, now welcome back. Us two ladies are very grateful to you, that's for sure. How are you doing, Jerry?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be with you again, and
Yeah, that's
glad to
wonderful.
kick off the Gnostic TV show.
Absolutely. Very excited to be here because, you know, Gnostic TV is uncensored. And many of these topics, when we put them on our YouTube channels, are, I mean, I'm walking a very fine line on my YouTube channel as it is. One more strike and I'm gone. Again, I've already been hit a few times.
Mhm.
Um, but, you know, it's just so important that we have places like Gnostic TV where we can share the uncensored truth. You know, it's time that we speak about the deep, dark, sad, ugly underbelly because it's very, very real and it's happening. And I think a lot of people still don't really want to see the truth of this ugliness, but I'm very grateful. So, enough nattering from me. I'm going to hand over to you guys, Jerry and Jinean, and I would love for you to share your story with us, Jinean, please. Thank you.
Okay, let me kick off with a little bit and just kind of provide a little bit of background. You know, my name's Jerry Marzinsky. You will have heard from me in a previous interview before you get to this one, but I'm a mental health specialist. I spent close to 50 years on the front lines of mental health, most of the time studying the voices that the schizophrenics hear. Right. And it came out that these voices run well defined, predictable patterns. Now, the psychiatric mafia insists that these are hallucinations. Now, they haven't done even one iota of research into the voices. They just went, well, this is what they sound like, so this is what they must be, and we hereby pronounce that the voices are hallucinations. That's not what I saw in the 50 years I've worked on the line, studying the voices and talking to prisoners and psych patients about what the voices were telling them, what the voices were doing to them, how they behaved. So the end of working for other people, I ended up working psych crisis in emergency rooms throughout Tucson. Uh, we found 23 patterns that these voices run, and they're repeatable, predictable patterns. Now, hallucinations aren't repeatable, they're not predictable, they're random, they're all over the place. What these patterns are is the operational definition of what these voices are. Okay. And just to name a few of them, they're consistently negative. You know, they're insulting, they're abusive, they're destructive. They seem to hate anybody who tries to help the person. Um, they're consistently negative. So my first question was, what holds them on that negative path? How come they're not random like all other hallucinations? Second pattern, they were anti-religious. They hated the person going to church. They hated them reading the Bible. They hated them praying. Third pattern that popped up was that they were energetic vampires. So after they would attack the schizophrenic had no energy left. Right. So these voices aren't consistent with hallucinations at all. Okay. I've got these patterns written on my website at jerrymarzinsky.com. You can go to articles and read them there. Anybody who's working with schizophrenics, has a schizophrenic in their family, if you go there, you will see these patterns. They're not hidden. They're right there in front of you. You can see them for yourself. You can check them out with your schizophrenic daughter or son or whoever you're working with. Okay. Um, the what these entities are, they're energetic entities. They're not physical. So what psychiatry is trying to do with their drugs is similar to if you got a magnet, a large magnet, you had this huge magnetic field, which is energetic. Now you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. With your physical senses, as far as you're concerned, that magnetic field doesn't exist. So these entities are the same way. They are energetic. They are not physical. They live in an energetic universe where there's no time, space, or matter. So they can interact and put thoughts in the person's mind and the victim's mind. They can pull out all kinds of not nasty stuff that the victim did and rub it in their face. Their purpose is to turn the person negative and generate a negative emotional state, which they feed upon. So if you talk to your schizophrenic daughter or son and ask them how they feel before the voices come and how they feel after the voices come, they'll tell you that they're drained of energy. And this is consistent. This is consistent over the hundreds of schizophrenics I've spoken to over my career. All these patterns are consistent. So they can't be hallucinations if they're running consistent, repeatable, clear patterns. Something else is going on. So rather than just take my word for it, what I've been doing in a number of my podcasts is bringing on people who've had direct experience with these voices. And who we have today is Jinean Florom. Her son is what you might call a psychotic killer. He's locked up in a maximum security prison, I think, in isolation right now. He killed three people with guns and four, and then he killed his girlfriend and cut her up into little pieces. And Jinean has firsthand experience with these voices and what they were like and how she lived with them and how they came on. And I'm going to let her tell you her story. And I may be jumping in from time to time. So Jinean, tell us how this started off. When did you realize that these things that your son was hearing were not hallucinations and that they were actually entities?
Donovan started playing with playmates when he was about 4 or 5 years old. He had 3 invisible playmates. And I never thought anything about it because I was 16 years old when I had him. So I was a very young mother. And by the time I was 19, I was in college. I had a job and, he was in daycare. And I started notice him around the living room, just talking but it didn't register. It didn't register. Kids do stuff. You just don't. And I'm a young mom. I don't know much. fast forward to my second marriage. Um, I had two sons, and we noticed, my husband and I noticed that our two younger children, at this time, Donovan's 12 years old. And I noticed that we noticed that our children were having bruises on their bodies. Okay. And so what happened was my husband set up a video camera. This was in the, let's see, Donovan would have been 12. So this was in the 80s ish. Yeah. In the 80s sometime. And he was born in 1977, so he was 12. Do the math. That's kind of how I have to take this, because time has no, for me, I'm time challenged in some ways. So he videotaped, and Donovan took a basketball. My younger son had soft spots on his head. He was only about a year old. And Donovan took a basketball and bounced the basketball on his head, and then he tried to suffocate my middle son with a pillow. So Donovan, through that action, and the video, led himself to a psychiatric hospital in Colorado, in Pueblo, Colorado, because that's where we lived at the time. And several months later, Donovan was diagnosed with schizophrenia and sociopathic tendencies and psychotic. At the age of 12. About a year later, about 18 months later, he was released, and he came into the home, and they put him on a lot of meds. Time passed. About 15, 16 years old, he really wanted to be off the meds. And he was in Civil Air Patrol. I had to homeschool him. And he was in Civil Air Patrol, and he was doing a lot of really great things, but he didn't function real well on the medicine. And so then what happened was, when he would come to me and go, "Mom, please don't make me take these meds anymore." And I was about 33 years old or so at that time. And I knew that I knew he wasn't functioning, because he would get up and he would be lethargic, and he had a hard time holding conversations, which is why homeschooling worked for us. Okay. Then he got into college. He graduated at the age of 16 and a half, got him into college to study. He wanted to be an English major to study law. And he started slipping. He got involved with wrong people on campus, and he started doing methamphetamines at the age of 17. And that's when life changed for me as a mom. And with him, he got violent, and I couldn't have him live with me because he was dangerous. And
When
then,
did you start seeing that he was hearing voices?
oh, he started hearing voices at a very young age. That goes all the way back to when he was like 3, 4, 5-ish, when he had his 3 little friends. But between the ages of, I would say, 12, 13 to 15 years old on the meds, he still heard the voices. The medicine wasn't helping him. The medicine was designed to just make him lethargic. They said that it would help the voices, but the voices never went away when he was on the
Right,
meds. I have to be very clear about that.
yeah, in most cases they don't, because
Yeah.
again, we're talking about energy here. So what
Yes.
psychiatrists are doing, they're kind of like getting Thorazine and their antipsychotic meds, and it's like dumping them on a magnetic field. They might come up that field a little bit, but
Mhm.
they don't affect these energetic entities. All they do is
Mhm.
drug the brain. They're major tranquilizers, really. So what
Mhm.
they're doing is treating the symptoms, and they have no idea what the cause is.
Exactly. And as a mom, after being on meds from the age of basically 12 all the way to 15, 16 years old, I started seeing that the voices aren't going away. He's lethargic. He's not functioning. He needs to function because he learned how to fly an airplane before he learned how to drive a car, seriously, with Civil Air Patrol. So with that being said, all of that was going on. And I noticed, and I said to Donovan, I said, "It's okay to stop the meds. I understand." So we did. We stopped the meds. And then when he turned 17 and he dropped out of college, we were both going to university on the same campus, 2 different universities. And he he got with the wrong crowd, and then I would come home for lunch where we used to share lunch together, and he was dealing drugs out of our home. And I said, "You're not doing this. You either go back to school or you get a job, but you're not." Because at that time I'm going through a very bad, ugly divorce. And so he didn't stop, and I had to make him leave the house. But before he left, he took a punch at me and hit the wall. And that was it. I knew that I was in danger. And I knew that whatever was taking over his body, and I knew he was doing drugs, I knew that there was nothing more I could do to help him, that he had to be away from me. And I think where some parents have trouble, and this is from my personal experience, you want to enable that child and say, "Oh, it's going to be okay," but it's not going to be okay. When that line is crossed and that entity is there and they get violent with you and you don't protect yourself, you put your life in danger. It's that simple.
Janine,
And
when did you determine that this this wasn't your son doing that kind of stuff and that he had been taken over by something else?
when he was about 15, I knew that whatever possessed him, the three little friends he had from before, this turned into a much bigger thing, a much darker energy. I don't know if they left and something stepped in their place. I don't know that. I just know he had physical changes. He shaved his head. He got dark. He wore dark black clothes. He was not in a good mental place, and he was doing meth, and I didn't want to be around him, and he would call me at all hours of the night. And it was just there was a shift from the age of 15 to 17. It was a little bit of a subtle shift, but by the time that he got to be about 17, it was definitive, and there was no turning back, because was not he was not going to conform. He was not going to go to college. He was angry. He was violent, and he roamed the streets of Colorado, of Denver. That was his life for many, 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 many years. And that's how I knew that there was not going to be any help. He started stealing cars. He worked for chop shops. When he was in 19, let's see, nope, in 1998-99 was when he got in a gunfight in Aurora, Colorado, and shot and killed 3 people for drugs and guns. And he was high on meth for over 15 days when that incident happened. And it was at night, and this gunfight that was going on in Aurora was so bad that bullets were going everywhere, and people in their homes, the people that died, that got killed, were people who were sitting on their couches. And one bullet went through the roof of the house and killed somebody. One bullet went and it all came from my son's gun. All of it, when they finalized it, when I was able to talk to the district attorney, the bullets came from my son's gun,
And I want to
of all the
reiterate
people that were killed.
meth is one of the most dangerous drugs out there.
Yeah.
The prison is full of meth addicts who are possessed by these entities.
Yeah.
They weren't psychotic to start with, but they start using meth. They feel like Superman. It feels great. They start hearing voices. They go, "Oh, that's just a hallucination. It'll go away when I come down." And it does. And that may happen, 10, 15, 50 times. And then one day those voices don't go away. And they're just as psychotic as anybody in the psych hospital. And here's these morons in our government leaving the borders wide open, and meth is flowing in by the ton.
Well, for me, I think it's kind of contrived that way. I'm sorry. I've long ago stopped having any faith about stuff like that when we dealing with the stuff we're dealing with, and we're hearing the stories we're hearing, with the child trafficking and all of that. It flows hand in hand. I mean, Janine, I'm sitting and I'm listening to you, and I can't imagine as a mother how traumatic that must be, you know.
It was.
Um,
Mhm.
it's
It was,
interesting
it
to
still
me.
is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that ever goes away, ever. I think one can only hope that it gets better
Mhm,
with time and understanding.
mhm.
But wow, what a traumatic experience for you as a mom to have to go through that. I'm interested to know when you say you saw from the age of 15 to 17 quite a transition and literally a physical change in him as well as he started. That makes a lot of sense to me because obviously he would have then been overtaken already
Mhm,
by an entity. And it makes
mhm.
a lot of sense. When you speak to the people that have been in the occult, they will tell you these entities cannot enter someone's body unless they've given permission.
That's
So
right.
exactly. And the permission comes from either violence or horrible stuff that happens in tiny, tiny years, or when they
Mhm,
get older, they start taking the drugs and stuff. And
mhm,
that's when they open up the doorways for
mhm.
those entities to enter for sure. And it
And
makes a
That's
lot of
Ouija
absolutely
boards also, Ouija boards.
Oh, yeah. Those spiritual gates, there are plenty of them. And the thing is, a lot of the stuff when we're dealing with people who've been in satanic families, with the SRA, satanic ritual abuse, stuff like that. The parents open those doors for these entities to come
Mhm.
in, and
Yeah.
the kids are given things like Ouija boards, and also just the rituals and the demonic entities the parents already are
Mhm.
operating with, and of course, then that opens the door for the kids as well. I mean, I understand your situation is different, but it's amazing how that happens, and that wow. Anyway, please
Now,
carry on.
yeah, Janine, you had one instance where he came at night, and you were afraid he was going to kill you. And did did that happen before he killed all these other people, or afterwards?
Um, he hadn't murdered Allie yet. So I'm gonna rewind just a little bit to get to that question. So when Donovan was arrested for those murders, he got charged with 3 counts of manslaughter, first degree manslaughter, second degree manslaughter, because he didn't know he killed them until they discovered and they did the autopsies, found the bullets, matched it to his gun, etc. So now, because he was on meth, and I take that back. This particular instance, he was on meth for 19 days, not 15. The second time when he murdered Allie, they said he was high on meth for 15 days when they did the investigation. So he'd been on meth for 19 days. He killed those people. And because when he was arrested, they put him in the state hospital again, the same one he was in when he was younger. And he was there for 8 years because he could not testify. He was not competent to go to court. That's how bad the meth messed him up. 8 years later, but it was a conundrum because 8 years later, after he was in the state hospital for these actions he committed, the state hospital, Colorado, ran out of funding, and they had to make a choice. He's either competent or he's not, but we can't. We have if he's competent, you're going to have to let him go, or he's going to have to go to court. So they moved him through the system, and he was deemed competent. And then a case ensued in Arapahoe County for 2 years, and he was tried for 3 counts of it was second degree manslaughter that he was convicted of, and then he served another 7, almost 8 years for that in prison, and then he was eligible for parole. So after that happened, 7 years later, around 2007, he was released from prison, and I was never notified, and he tried to contact me,
Now,
and that was really
had he killed
scary.
Allie? Had he killed Allie by that point, or not?
No, Allie was murdered in 2020 during COVID.
Okay. And he cut her to pieces, and you still haven't found her body.
No.
Mm.
So
Okay.
off and on, he was in jail, with all the crimes he was committing because he was a serial criminal. And I completely stepped away because I told the district attorney, I don't want anything to do with this kid. He's gonna kill me. If he knows where I live, he will find me and he will kill me. because he hated me. He made no mincing words about how much he hated me.
And do you
So
think
I
that was
had no
him, or
contact with him for a long time.
was it, you think that was him, or was it the voices that hated you? And
It was the
how did you
voices.
differentiate?
Yeah.
How did you know the difference?
At that time, I didn't. I mean, this is how, so at his after prison event and after he was out, I made friends with Donovan actually gave me permission to work with his therapist and his case manager. Okay. And we became friends. And so that's how I knew what was going on in his life in Colorado, because Donovan gave me that authority to work with them, because Donovan, I think, wanted to try to do something good. I don't know yet. I still don't understand all of that. But what I do know is that his therapist was so instrumental in teaching me about his relationship with Allie, because when he got out of prison, he met Allie, and Allie was like 10 to 12 years younger than he was. He's 47 now. So she lived in a halfway house with him, right? When he got out of prison, while he was going through therapy and on parole. And that's how their relationship began, was when he got out of prison. But he was in and out of jail for other crimes, because even though he had been in prison, there were other crimes he had committed that they had to wait for him to get out of prison so they could charge him, even though they were old cases. Does that make sense? So on and off for like years, literally until basically 2019, he was in and out of jail on all of these other charges in county in Denver for
Okay,
all of these other crimes that he'd committed.
and his relationship with the girlfriend was very rocky, right? You had some sense of that. What was going
Yeah.
on there?
Yeah. So there's an important detail here. Donovan's married. He has a wife. He's never divorced. And they went their separate ways. I have a granddaughter from the first marriage. She's beautiful. I have a grandson from Allie. Okay. He's a great kid. Okay. That's even worse, to know that you have to understand, I have to be very careful with my relationship with my grandkids over this. And because it's a very sensitive topic. Okay. They're safe. That's the main thing. But the mom of the first wife never divorced him. So he was in this relationship with Allie. He never got a divorce. They had a child together, and Allie was always number two. She was never number one. His first wife was number one, and he refused to divorce her to make Allie happy. And then she got pregnant. And that's when I noticed a difference in the way that relationship was, because there was never going to be a marriage. And she started having issues with Donovan. She was resentful of him for not divorcing his wife.
Was she using meth also?
Not at that time. Not when she was
Why would
pregnant.
he not divorce his first wife as a matter of interest? What was the reason for him choosing to? I mean, they obviously weren't together anymore,
No.
but they still had that cord,
Yeah.
right? That bound them together, which he
Yes.
want to let go of for whatever.
And neither did she. I know her well. She didn't want to sever it either. And ironically, when we fast forward and we get to the part where he murdered his girlfriend, Allie and Sherry were together having sex, doing drugs on Donovan's birthday the night before Allie was murdered. So there was this big thing with these three. It was all about drugs.
Was
It was all
Sherry
about intimacy.
right? Was Sherry the first wife?
Yes.
So Sherry, the first wife, and the girlfriend are having sex.
Yes.
Right. Wow. How contrived.
And she was living, Allie, she was on the street. She just moved from another state to Colorado. This came up in the investigation after the murder. She left the 27th of April. Donovan's birthday is on the 24th. He went to Allie's apartment on the 23rd to have sex and be with his two women. That's what happened. We don't know how or what happened when the stabbing started, but we know that they were together for that brief time.
And now that didn't happen with the wife there. That happened at a different time, right?
No,
Well, the
no,
wife was there?
yes. Her blood was found on the scene of the crime.
The wife's blood?
Yes.
So I didn't
There's
know she was
evidence
there.
to show that, and they had to do a DNA test, but they can't pin anything on her because, there's no body.
So
But she
he
left
cut her up
Colorado on
too?
the 27th.
Or so he cut her up too?
No, she's still alive.
Well, at the time, so how did her blood get all over the place if he
I
didn't
don't
stab her?
know. I that part of the investigation, because it's still ongoing, even though Donovan's in prison and they know if they ever find more body parts or they ever have that, they're going to be able to unravel that. But will they? I don't know. Time
Now
is the tell of all tales.
how did you find out, or when did you find out? And how did you react to when you were told that Donovan had cut Allie up into little pieces?
Well,
How did
Donovan called me.
Oh, he called you and told you
He called me on the phone and told me what he was doing that day at 10 o'clock in the morning.
after he had done this?
Hang
While
on.
he
While he
was
was
doing
doing it?
it.
Oh my God.
No, come
Yes,
on.
yes.
And he'd been now, okay. I want to just reverse a little bit and I want to just reiterate as a healer, I've worked with people who've been on crystal meth. The worst I've seen is someone who hadn't slept for 7 days. This person was digging around the garden. He was hallucinating that his girlfriend was having sex in the garden with the fairies. He was convinced that was happening, and the gnomes and what have you. Um, my point is the mindset shift that occurs because on crystal meth you're not sleeping. I mean, yeah, not only are you sleep deprived because you can't sleep, but this drug, it does something. I don't know exactly what medically it does, but it's something I've not observed with any other drug when I've worked with people who've been on crystal meth, that's for sure. So I want to just,
It's
It,
evil.
it lets in the demons. The prisoners called it the devil's drug. I mean, it
right.
lets in these negative entities. It's just like, oh, come on in. I mean, it's like opening the doors.
Yeah. And there's no boundaries. That's the thing.
Mhm.
I mean,
No boundaries.
anyone who's taken any kind of drug, like our cocaine, anything, you will know any type of drug will already start dissolving most boundaries, which is why abusers will roofie someone or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
Because the drugs lower the resistance. So immediately drugs automatically will lower like resistance. But I mean,
Yeah.
this is like on another level where, as you say, they're just opening up. There's no
Mhm.
boundaries. It's like a free for all. All these nasty entities are in and out and controlling that body. They control that body. And especially if he's had it from when he was like 3 or 4 years old. I'd still be interested in finding out more about that. But that's a story for another show. We can definitely,
Yes, I hope someday that I can get that out of him someday, as far as
yeah,
the story goes. I would love to know more from Donovan about that. When did that transition happen? I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to remain in his life and I'm going to find out because I want to know. I'm his mom and I know the shift happened, but I don't know. See, I was kind of removed from it because I was young and I just kind of thought, oh, these are just his imaginary playmates. I was like 19 years old. I didn't get it. I do now. And I want to have that adult conversation with him down the road about that. I want to say, Donovan, when did the transition happen with the entities when you were a kid to what happened when when you transitioned or it transitioned into this gigantic monster that possessed you? Can you tell me that story? Because I don't know that story from him. I just know what I witnessed as the mom when
So
it
Janine,
right.
changed.
he was actually killing Allie when he called you. He was in the
He
process
had
of,
so he stabbed her. So he called me up that morning. It was on the 27th of
well,
April, 3 days
well,
after his birthday,
he stabbed her several times, right?
15 times, he said. Now, there was no body to prove it, but that's what he told me. But how the conversation started is eerie, and I want to share that with you. So he called me up at around 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was reading. He called me up at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he said, Mom, he said, I know I need to trust you. I've done something really bad, something that I never thought I was capable of doing. And I said, Donovan, it can't be that serious, you know? And he said, oh, it's very bad, Mom. Can I trust you? And I said, of course you can. You couldn't have done anything bad enough that I would be worried about it. So just tell me what's going on, because I can tell that you're shaken. Okay. And so a little bit of silence happened, and he said, I've killed Ellie. I killed her. And I said, no, you didn't. He said, yeah, she's on the bed. She's in a fetal position. And I stabbed her 15 times. And she's really bloated. And I don't know what to do with her body. Now, keep in mind, he's walking from wherever he's walking in the apartment while he's telling me this, and that her body's bloated. And I hear him lift her body up and carry her into the bathroom. I said, well, before he did that, I said, please don't touch her body. Please call the police. I'm begging you. Please call the police. I'm certain that whatever happened, this can be worked out. Just call the police, leave her body alone. Just please don't touch her. And he didn't listen to me. He carried her, and he said, oh my God, she's so heavy. He carried her into the bathroom. And he said to me, she wants me to take care of her and clean her up. I'm going to do that. So in the length of the phone conversation, as he was doing all of this, and after he told me, it was about 45 minutes, he carried her into the bathroom, and then he hung up on me. And I ended up calling my lawyers, and I told them what had happened. And I had to stop talking to him at that moment. There was no communication. I had no communication with Donovan after that particular call when he told me what he was doing to her body. Because
For how
I had to
long?
mute myself. I was so shaken. I was just like, I was sitting at the table just vibrating because I could not believe what I was hearing,
Yeah.
what my
And
son had done.
when did you find out he had cut her up into little pieces?
Well, that came out after he came to my house in June, on June 5th in Arizona. He drove from Denver. He had been evicted. When he was arrested, they said he had her body for 43 days. For 43 days, he had her body.
Wow.
For 43 days.
So
We,
he
So
was
when he came, he had some of her body with him. I begged the police to arrest him, but they had nothing that they could arrest him on. He wasn't driving crazy or anything like that. I called the police, a 911, to let the sheriff know, because I lived in the country. And then they never really found his vehicle. And then he about 3 days later on, I think it was June 8th, he was arrested in Globe, Arizona. And he was in that jail for a month while they got the arrest warrant, because he was already in violation. When he went to Allie's apartment with Sherry and they had that whatever they had, Allie had a restraining order against Donovan. So they were able to arrest him on the restraining order, but at that moment, when I called the Aurora Police Department, or the Arvada Police Department, to do a wellness check when I knew he was in front of my house, I didn't know where he lived, but I did at that particular time. I had power of attorney to work with him with his money, with his Social Security. So I had access to his bank account. So I went into his bank account to see where the last place was that he was before he got here, because it took him only 13 hours to drive from Denver to Tucson, which is unheard of. He must have been going 80 miles an hour. And I found the apartment complex that she was murdered at. And there was a gas station in front of it, and he had bought a pack of cigarettes. So I called the manager while he's out in the front of my house in the front gate with the dogs barking, while I'm trying to figure out, after I called the police, waiting for the police to come. He's out in the front yard. My dogs are barking. I ran through the house and locked the house. I was vibrating. I don't even know where I found all the energy to even do what I did. I called the manager of the apartment complex and I said, please, can you do a wellness check? There's a woman that lives there by the name of Alicia Banks. Please, do you have a tenant that lives there? They said, I can't give you that information. I said, do you have a tenant that is Alicia Banks? I have reason to believe she's been murdered. I need you to do a wellness check. He said, look, okay, yes, there is somebody. I can't give you the apartment. I said, who do I call? If you can't do a wellness check, how do I go? He said, you need to call the Arvada Police Department in Jefferson County. He said, there's one that's 12 minutes away, and then there's the Jefferson County. He said, call the Arvada Police Department. So I called the Arvada Police Department, and I let them know it was about 8:30 in the morning this time on Arizona time, and they went to the apartment, and Donovan had changed the locks. They got into the apartment, and that's when they found blood and decomp in the freezer refrigerator. They found a dead python snake. They found a live python snake. They found a live rat. There were 2 dead dogs. One was still alive. And they found where the house had been painted, and they did the spraying, and they found the blood stains all over, and they lifted up the floor, and there was just blood everywhere in the house. And the bathroom, they found decomp that was down the drain. They found it all. And now here's the thing. Jerry's never agreed with me on this, but I did get I did get some of the police records. I've been working very closely with the Arvada Police Department and the investigators all this time, because I am bound and determined till I go to my grave to find something of Allie's body to let that family put closure. I have a grandson. I mean, I have an obligation as a mom to help find her body. I know that I wasn't there, but I'm not going to stop asking Donovan where that body is, what part of her body.
And so he was at your gate. Now
Yes.
were you talking to the police at that time? Did you know
No, I
that?
was on the, yes, yes.
So you
And
know what
he
he had
drove
done.
away. Yeah, and then he
Okay.
drove away. He drove away, and I told them that he was here. And the Arvada Police Department, by noon that day, which, keep in mind, Colorado's an hour ahead of Arizona. So if it was 8:30 here, it was 9:30 there. By noon, the police were in the apartment, and they had to get an arrest warrant for the murder. So that's why he had to stay in Globe, because they couldn't extradite him just on a case where it was a restraining order case. They had to hold him, and then they had to get the governor's permission to move him to Colorado after they found out that it was indeed Allie that was there. And during that investigation is when they found other blood there besides Allie's.
Okay. So did you know that while he was at your gate outside? Did you have that information that he had
No,
done that? Or you
no,
didn't know that? Now you were
no.
talking one time about a time where he was in the house and you thought he might kill you at that time.
So when he was in 2017, Donovan had gotten out of jail, and he wanted a clean break from Allie, so he came and lived with me in Colorado. And he lived with me for 6 months, and I thought, he was going to be clean, but I found out later on that he was actually running from the police, and when he went back, he got arrested, and he ended himself in county for 2 years after that. So that was a lie. Okay. So during that period of time, about the 5th month after he was there, and Jerry's seen the video, which we can do another video another time. Jerry saw the video. Donovan literally turned into this monster. I mean, you could see it, you could feel it. He turned into this monster. He was screaming and calling me names. It wasn't even Donovan. I mean, you could visually, I videotaped it, and I've played it on some other interviews, where he is so full of hate towards me. He calls me all kinds of names, and I had to make him sleep outside because I knew, and Jerry's absolutely right. So when he has these events, and this has been this way his whole life, when he has these psychotic events and these schizophrenic events, but I call them psychotic events because the demon takes over his body.
Okay. Now what I have here is a poem written by him called "The Monster." would you
Yes.
like me to read that? Because he's
Go
talking
ahead.
about
Yeah.
he's talking about the voices
Yes, please
in
do.
this poem.
Yes.
So he calls it "There Is a Monster," and it's written in pencil, so I have a little hard time reading it. But he says, "There is a monster that lives in my head. This monster is real. It's not under my bed. My monster tells me things to do. It tells me sometimes when the news is new." So it's telling him things. My monster is crying as it's spent all the years drowning out my courage and disposing my fears. My monster is strong. That's what I like to think. My monster is coming when it's time to drink. So he's talking about, when he drinks alcohol, the monster gets out of control. My monster is ready. My monster is strong. And they get supernaturally strong in a psychotic state when they get upset. I mean, supernaturally strong. They're almost like not human anymore. You
Mhm.
know, what will I do when my monster is gone? So apparently he uses this monster to protect him. I mean, they can fight like wild animals when the voices are active. My monster will never leave. That is his plan. It overwhelms me when I make a stand. So, when he's trying to control the monster, he's saying it overwhelms him. It's too strong
Yeah.
for him to control. There's a monster inside of me. I thought I was strong. How could this be? My monster has a name too. He walks in the dark whispering Yazoo. I don't know what that's all about.
That's the
My,
monster's name.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. My monster is watching me. He won't tell you my name. My monster is the shadows you cannot see. His heart is heavy. He plays to he plays to the game or plays for the game. So it's like he's serious. My
Mhm.
monster is awake. He wants to be monster. He is as blood from a lake. His bond with me now. Uh, his bond is with me now, monster. He has nothing else to do. My monster is aware. Okay, so his monster is the voices, and,
Mhm.
and he is writing about them, saying how strong they actually are.
Jerry,
And
what is the date on that? Can you look and tell me what the date is on that?
I don't see a date on this.
Is it at the bottom or at the top? Did he
No,
put a
there's
date on it?
all it is number 19 is at the top.
Okay. That was probably written between 1996 and 2008, that poem. Yeah.
Okay, so you've had some supernatural experiences since then, right? Now
Yes.
he wrote you a blood chilling letter from the
Yes, he
prison.
did.
Okay,
Yes, he
now
did.
the voices hate anybody who tries to help their victim. They will attack and cause turmoil. They want the victim to be isolated by themselves, so they have complete access to the victim, so they can keep pushing the person's mind out of the way, and they want to take over. So
So
you
I
know,
want to show you something, Chantel. I want to show you something about Donovan that you need to understand how when I know that the monster is there, um, when when the monster is present, Donovan, his handwriting changes. So I'm just going to give you and the audience a little bit of a clear picture here because Jerry's seen all this with his poem writing, but you haven't. So let's see. I want to make sure that this is the one. Yeah. So if you can look at that, just look at the handwriting. See how it is. This is when the monster possesses him and he writes to me. This is what his handwriting looks like when he's not possessed.
can you hold them up next to each other?
Yes.
Oh yeah, look how much darker it is. He's used so much more pressure.
Okay. So you have to understand, I can just in his writing, I know when he's possessed. And this letter that Jerry's talking about is the one that Donovan wrote to me in January of 2024 that threw me off for months. So yeah, so that was a very bad letter.
Do you feel comfortable reading that or no?
I can read it. I just want to say, when I do, I want to please let everyone know who's listening to this. This is not a pretty letter. It's a very ugly letter. And if you have any children that's under the age of 18 or even 21, please remove them from the room, because this is not something that you want them to hear. And that's
And
all I
then,
ask.
and this is a letter you believe was written by the monster within him.
Oh, I know it was.
Okay.
So first of all, you'll notice he writes Janine. He doesn't call me mom very often. This last letter that he wrote to me recently, he wrote mom. But there's a reason for that. There's a manipulation going on there. So I need you to understand that I deal with this all the time, but I'm just gonna let you know. So okay, I'll just read this.
Yeah, this is blood curdling. When I saw it for the first time, it shook me up.
Janine, so yeah, well, that's the sum of how I feel about you at this moment. I've had some time to think about our relationship, and it hit me. We have no fucking relationship. Pretty typical, your behavior. It's only the truth when it suits you, when it fits your very subjective, perceptive, moral compass. That's the very difference between you and I. 3 exclamation points. I protect my children. I would kill for my children. I believe my children. I don't need to justify myself to you or anybody. I have no reason to be deceptive about how I dismembered that junky, child molesting, whorebag, dumpster slut, gutter slug. Then just when I start to get over it, I put myself out there in the open, and there comes good old Ma to tromp through the dog shit, then walk over my emotions and call me a liar. I said, I saved, and I'm not going to say my grandson's name. I saved him from a fucking lifetime of hurt and sexual abuse. What did you do? Nothing. Not for me, not for him. You knew, I'm not going to say this other person's name either. You knew this person abused me. You did nothing. I told you about my grandson. And what did you do? Nothing. And when the dust cleared, what did you do? Point her finger away from herself. Birds of a feather. You're no better than her. You're fucking lucky you didn't end up with the same expression on your face Allie had as I severed her fucking head, mouth opening and closing, eyes frantically darting around, blinking at me. She has one more thing than you ever will. She said she was sorry. It didn't save her, but perhaps it saved her conscience. You, unlike her, will never admit to what you've done to me. You will never say you're sorry to me. And here is the kicker. There are people here locked up for extreme cases of child rape, incest rape, child molestation until death, serial child rapist, serial rapist. Then you have me, the everyday plain old murderer. What's the difference between those shitbag worthless maggots and me? They have support from their fucking families. Imagine that. They rape children and their families let them call them. They rape and kill children and they get visits. They prey upon the youth of our communities and rape the innocents from the fabric of our collective existence, and their families support them. They send them care packages. They have pictures of their loved ones. They get to order canteen and have things to make life easy here. Send me pictures of my son. Send me pictures of Allie. Send me pictures of my family. Send the pictures of my daughter. And yeah, send me pictures of you. I guess you didn't like the artwork I sent. More like you probably sold it and bought some printer ink or some unnecessary amount of useless shit from Walmart. You have no idea how fucking lucky you are not to be in prison. Even after all your shit you've done, I still protected you from all of it. I could have thrown your ass under the bus like you always do to me. But unlike you, well, yeah, I'm unlike you. Why did I take a plea deal to keep my son out of harm's way, to keep you out of courts? Would have gotten life without parole regardless of it. Figured it would be better to end it quickly. I don't need the exasperations of law enforcement to feel any any time of way about my care. I honestly hope they never find her pieces. The thought that you and her could be rotting and resting in piss bring me a bit of comfort. Well, it's 9:43. That's all the fucking time I'm going to give you. Worthless effort. Probably have a better time writing to a rock. Don't fucking write me back. Some letter that paragraphs verbatim me, paragraph verbatim you. Fucking one sure way to piss me off. Oh, in case you didn't get the point, if you won't support me here in prison, then piss off. That's my son when he's demonically possessed.
I'm astounded that he's even allowed to send that out. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, wow.
Yeah, that's shocking.
I
But
am so sorry.
that's how the voices are. He was completely taken over by them. That's fairly rare, where they're completely taken over like that. But this is the end result. When the voices completely take control, this is what happens.
It took me a couple of days to get that letter to process through that before I sent it off to Jerry and Sherry. And even reading it, if you could only see, I'm shaking. I'm literally shaking from the inside out because I know this demon. I know this, and he's blaming me that and listen, I get it. He's blaming me that I called the police when he told me what he was doing. What did he expect me to do? Just sit through it and let him carry her to the bathtub and do what he was going to do to her?
Well,
I mean,
well,
really?
It's totally irrational.
Yeah.
That's
I
how they
mean,
get.
that's yeah. I mean, you can't even begin to start to reason with that creature. Um, why has he not chosen to reveal where her body is? And is there no something that can lead them to where he put her?
Well, I will tell you that sometime after that, I can give you an approximate date. Donovan in June, 3 investigators, one from Colorado Bureau of Investigation, this is in his writing, and from Jefferson County Homicide, did go to the prison. And I didn't find out about it. The district attorney that I work with in the investigations up in Arvada didn't tell me. I got this information. So immediately I called her and I said, why didn't you notify me and let me know what you were doing? Because that's been my thing. Be honest with me. Tell me. I want transparency. My life is being affected by this too. And I don't like hearing it from my son. I want to hear it from them. And that's kind of been a theme in some cases when the investigation, but they couldn't tell me because they knew. But I was one of their primary witnesses, okay, because I had heard what he was doing to her on the phone. So he gave them some places where he had thrown body parts out the window when he was driving down here to Arizona. Okay. But he didn't obviously give them enough information because they never found the larger body parts, okay, of her body or her head. And I know my gut tells me, I don't know this to be the facts, but my gut tells me that he knows where he put her head. He knows where he put her larger parts of her body that he didn't discard. He knows. I mean, there are a lot of serial rapists out there and murderers out there that we know about. This is the world I've had to jump into, which has not been an easy world for me to jump into, I promise you. Where you have these murderers and these rapists that do these things to these children, they keep a little something, something for themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. Yeah. You can't tell me that my son did not do that because I know my son.
One thing that's prevalent in the schizophrenics I've worked with is there's usually intense physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. Okay,
Mhm.
that's behind it all. That kind of brings them down to a very much lower vibration. And then you look at what the
Absolutely.
United States government is doing. They lost track of what 325,000 kids that came over the border. The U.S. government is complicit in child trafficking like no other government on the planet right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they are. They most definitely are.
And that whole thing, and I do not disagree with any of that. And I do, let me see if I can find, when Donovan sent me that one picture, Jerry, remember I was telling you about, so I want to give just a little bit of background. In a schizophrenic mind, and this is only dealing with my son, I cannot speak for anybody else. I can only speak about what my experience is with my son Donovan. When he was in that place, the best way I can describe what a mind is of a schizophrenic is, just think of yourself walking down a hallway, a long hallway. And on each side of the hallway, there are doors, and they're shut. They have doorknobs. And you just keep walking, and then you might be walking along the way. So each one of those doors, they have a memory. That's where the schizophrenic mind puts a memory of something that may have been tragic, something that they may have done, something that they may have done to an animal. We don't know what's behind those doors. Only the schizophrenic mind knows what they've done. So then you go down this hallway, and then um, there's a Y where there's two other hallways, like a fork in the road. And that hallway is another long hallway. And each door in each side, there's another, every 10 feet, there's a door, there's a wall, there's a door on each side. Same goes for the right side. So Donovan has always been sort of artistic in a way, but he's complex, as you can probably already tell. And I was telling Jerry about this picture that he sent to me, and I'm going to show it to you because it's going to coincide with the story of the wall of the doors. So this is the picture he drew.
Right.
And if you look at it, now this is a big city because Donovan lived in Colorado, but if you look at the brick walls, there's no
Wow.
windows. There's no
Exactly.
doors.
I was going to say that's all just concrete. There's no, he can't breathe. The poor guy, he can't breathe.
Nope. And he's in a and any other pictures he's ever drawn a similar of nature with this type of drawing. This was drawn 11/26/23 in his signature. It's an original. Now, do you know what that, and I was telling Jerry, I said, what this tells me about where Donovan's mind is, he's closed off. He's not going to tell anybody anything. There's no doors to open. Those doors are shut. Try to break down the brick wall of my mind. You see? Try to break down. Although I can say perhaps maybe these little openings here that maybe be a place to hide, but it would be a place to hide. Those are not doors. Those are a place to slip into in the darkness, you see.
Yeah, that's just corners where you can.
Hide. Yeah. So
Wow.
this picture he sent to me, and this was one of the Happy Mother's Day, pictures, that it was one of his good letters that he sent. And then he sent me this other picture of this beautiful woman. I mean, this pencil drawing, and I mean, seriously, look at that.
Is that someone he sees?
That is somebody that he drew. I don't know where it's somebody in his mind.
Yeah.
I
It
don't know
seems,
who that person is. I've never known this person,
I would
but
say that's someone he sees.
yeah, and so he's uh, I encourage him to do art because I can learn about him with his art. I can tell where he's gonna, how his communication is gonna be. And I was telling Jerry about that because I want, and these are the pictures in that letter that I just read that said he thought I sold these for ink at Walmart. I very rarely ever, I would never even think of selling these. I'm going to frame them. Literally, I am going to frame these. and keep them in a place because they're my sons. And despite what anybody may think about what I've been through, I love my son. And the only thing that keeps me going is to throw more love at him because you can't hate him. Oh, I hate what he did. I detest what he did. But I
So Janine,
cannot stop loving him.
how do you feel that the voices react to the love you send him?
Oh, they hate me. That letter that I read to you a little bit ago is the voice that um uh that that energy field, because just to give you an idea of that, um this is a 2-page letter, and I'll read what I wrote because it's a very short letter. I wrote, this was in response to him. Nope, that's not the same one. It's the one. Jerry, do you remember that letter that I wrote to him where I spoke to his demon?
No. You can just tell us about it if you can't find it.
So when I responded to that letter that he wrote, I wrote a very brief, succinct letter to him. And I basically said to him, I'm going to talk to your demon now. And it was a paragraph. And basically I said, dear demon, I want you to know that I love my son, and you will never be capable of loving my son. You will never be able to give my son love. And I know that you are doing everything you can to separate us because you are full of hate, you're full of anger. And I said, I love my son, and there is nothing that you will ever be able to do to sever that. And that triggered Donovan. And then I got another really bad letter. But that, it wasn't so much that it triggered Donovan as much as it triggered the demon.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that one of the things that I've had to learn over the years in dealing with all of this, especially having to do my own healing to start with after all of this went about, because it happened in 2020 during COVID and there was no therapy. Nobody knew how to navigate the waters of COVID. It happened in April, like 10 days after COVID was announced in America.
How
And
interesting is that? How
I'm not kidding you.
interesting is that? I
That
mean,
whole entire year was nothing but a nightmare. And I didn't find
exactly.
Jerry till towards the end of that year. And then we started, it was on 88 Lionsgate, I think. Was it 2021 or 2020? It was 2020, 2021, I think, is when I reached out to Jerry.
Wow. What a tragic story, Janine. And I mean, I can only imagine what this must take out of you and the strength that you have as a mother to deal with that. I mean, we all have problems with our kids, right? But I mean, that's on another level. So,
Janine, you were talking about being attacked recently, right?
Oh,
Being pushed
oh
down in your
gosh.
bed, and what triggered all that?
So there's another quick story. So now we're going to take it a new level. Okay. Because we now know that technology and frequency all have energy, and and through technology, these entities are growing and doing different things. So here's my journal. And I was telling Jerry today, I said, I don't know if I had a chance to tell you because Jerry and I hadn't talked in a while. And so we got caught up today. And I do keep a journal because I have to keep my sanity. On Monday, January 15th, 2024 at 12:39 a.m. Music, the song by Disturbed called Down with the Sickness. Have you ever heard that song, Chantel?
I don't think she would
The
listen to
have
something like that.
I'm just not, I don't think I had that song. I don't think I know that song though.
I
Okay,
don't
so
think
bear
most
with me
normal
because
people would listen to something like that.
So Donovan was really heavy into this kind of music, and I do have a clip. I don't know how this would work for you, but I do have a clip of the music, and I do have the lyrics of the song because it's really important that you understand the emotion that went through me when I was woke up out of a dead sleep at 12:39 a.m. with this music blasting in my house. Well, I don't know where it
She
came from, but I know it was Donovan.
right, and you didn't
And
turn on anything on, right? It turned
no,
itself on.
yes, it turned itself on. So this is what I wrote. I wrote it immediately after the event. Somehow the music began to play, disturbed down with the sickness. I sat straight up in bed and I was screaming Donovan's name. And I asked the music to stop because its voice. I asked the music to stop and it wouldn't stop, and it got louder on this other particular section of this song. But before this song came on, there was Native American meditation music for just a brief moment, but I didn't register that. Then this song blurred. I mean, it was just really super loud. And I have a roommate, and my roommate was not affected by this. She didn't even hear anything. And so this is how I know that these entities, these evil entities, can reach out to you through technology. And basically, um, if it's okay with you, I'd like to play this section for you so you can hear what I heard. It's
Yeah,
just going to
listen.
be a
Sure.
brief one. It'll take maybe,
Yeah,
is that okay? Now,
listen to the
now I,
hissing sound of
I
the
think
thing. It's like a hissing sound.
I need to make you a co-host so you can play something. Yeah.
okay, I wasn't sure how that works. Okay, so let me um see. I okay, so did you make me a co-host?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go key this up so that it's on that page. And let me go.
Yeah, this kind of music is very dangerous. So if your kids are
Yes,
listening to this kind of crap, you need to stop it immediately. It's
yes,
very, very dangerous stuff.
yes. Um, okay, so there's that. Now let me jump back into the Zoom and then let me share. Let me share. Oh, no, you have to share with me. Oh, no, there it is. Let me share this. Okay. Now I'm going to share this. Can you see it?
It's coming up. Yes. There we go.
Okay.
Okay,
All
there it
right.
is.
I'm going to play this one section for you because you need to hear um where this came from. And this particular section is um I'll just put it back just maybe two or three things so you can kind of get a feel for this music and the beat. And this is the exact um what played across my music, my electronic music, my in my house. So
And
I'm going to play this. Are you guys
these,
ready? Are
these,
you
pe- these
and
people are,
again,
p- these people are possessed. The people playing this music, they are possessed.
yeah, so here we go.
I can't hear it.
No sound.
No sound. Can you hear us, Janine? There's no sound. Wow, look at all the people listening to this crap.
Wow.
Yeah, notice the background to the demon and the fire and the demon in the background.
Yep.
Look at all the people listening to this. Look at it. Look at that. And look at that background. These people are possessed. When Janine reads when she reads the words, you will see it for yourself.
Now I'm going to jump out of here. I'm going to stop the share because that was so loud. This whole song there is called, go back into the darkness. Now, go ahead.
We weren't able to hear the music, by the way.
Oh
Um,
no.
No,
yeah, we weren't able to hear
that's all
it.
right. We saw the demons in the background on the
Yeah. But
on the
maybe it's
billboard.
important we can just ask the guests if they want to go and It's called Down with the Sickness by Disturbed.
Yes.
Can you tell
Okay.
us where it starts?
Janine,
Um,
you have you have the
Yes.
words to that song, right?
Yes, it
Go ahead
starts at 4 minutes and 43. It might be a little bit sooner than that. Let me go. It's 4 minutes and 6 seconds in. 4 minutes
okay,
and
so
6 seconds in.
the song is
Disturbed
Disturbed.
down with the
The song
sickness.
is Disturbed, Down with the Sickness.
Live
And
at Rock AM Ring 2008. You've got to see the live version because the Vimo one doesn't have these particular lyrics in it. And this is where it's going to shock
lyrics.
you. Yep.
Read the lyrics, Janine.
So here I am sitting straight up in bed. This song is blurting down with the sickness and all this stuff going on. And I couldn't turn it off. And when it was done, I screamed Donovan's name because I knew immediately when that song started it was Donovan. I knew it was, but when you hear the lyrics, I'm going to read these lyrics. You are going to be in shock because it shocked me. So here are the lyrics to Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. Can you feel that? Oh, ah, 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 oh, ah, 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 ah. And it's, there's, Okay, now here's the next paragraph. Drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken your servant, I kneel. Will you give it to me? It seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Will you give it to me? Looking at my own reflection when suddenly it changes, violently it changes. Oh no, there is no turning back now. You've woken up the demon in me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You, mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You fucked up. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Madness is the gift that has been given to me. I can see inside you the sickness is rising. Don't try to deny what you feel. Will you give it to me? It seems that all that was good has died and is decaying in me. Will you give it to me? It seems you're having some trouble in dealing with these changes, living with these changes. Oh no, the world is a scary place now that you've woken up the demon in me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You, mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You fucked up, come on, get down with the sickness. Madness is the gift that has been given to me. And when I dream, and he screams this in the song, and when I dream, and when I dream, and when I dream, no, mommy, don't do it again. Don't do it again. I'll be a good boy. I'll be a good boy. I promise. That was the section that I played. No, mommy, don't hit me. Oh, why did you have to hit me like that, mommy? Don't do it. You're hurting me. Oh, why did you have to be such a bitch? Why don't you fuck off and die? Why can't you just fuck off and die? Why can't you just leave here and die? Never stick your hand in my face again. Fuck you. I don't need this shit, you stupid, sadistic, abusive fucking whore. Would you like to see how it feels, mommy? Here it comes. Get ready to die. And then it's screaming the oh, ah, ah. Get up. Come on. Get down with the sickness. Get up. Come on. Get down with the sickness. Get up. Come on. Get down with the sickness. Open up your hate and let it flow into me. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You, mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. You fucked up. Come on, get down with the sickness. Madness has now come over me. Now you tell me how that generation, because he's a millennial, obviously. You tell me how the lyrics of these songs can affect people. And in that audience, there's more than 50,000 people in that audience. And all of them are possessed. You
Bizarre.
can see the hate and the anger with all of them.
That's
That
bizarre.
song came to me that in the middle of the night. And can you imagine the fear that swam through me? I mean, I have no words to even express to you. I don't know how he did it, but I can tell you it wasn't Donovan that did it. It was the monster that did it. They have that capability of coming in out of the darkness. They do. And
I,
anybody, who doesn't believe that are lying to themselves. That's all I got to say.
I
And that song
totally,
that song reflects your letter that you got too. I mean, it's
Yes,
like
it does.
so you know
I'm,
it was him.
I'm, I'm interested to know because, in the letter he wrote, he spoke about sexual abuse.
Yes,
And for me, that's interesting because as a healer, I always look for the source of things because when we're
absolutely.
able to find the source of it, we can uproot it like a
Mm,
weed and take
yep,
it out of the root and not just mow the lawn, right? Where it's going to grow next week
absolutely.
again.
Yep.
So I was interested to hear what you were saying, what he was saying in the letter, because he spoke about sexual abuse, that he'd been, or he intimated that he'd been abused by someone.
Hmm.
Have you any idea who that could be? Because,
I do.
okay, so that to
I do.
me, where that door would have been opened. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
And he
and
was 3 years old when he was molested. He was
so,
3 years old the first time he was molested, and it was a boyfriend. I was 17 years old when it happened. No, 17,
okay,
18. I was 18 years old when he was molested. He was
right.
almost 3. Yes. And I left that relationship, but I had to run for my life for many years because he didn't only just abuse Donovan, he abused me as well. And I had to run into hiding. But I didn't know the level of his abuse. Now, here's where it gets really bad. I didn't know the level of his abuse, of his sexual abuse, until he was in a state hospital in Pueblo, and they did a complete analysis on him. And that's when it came out. And the psychiatrist asked Donovan, he said, "Why didn't you tell your mom about this when it happened?" And he said, "Because if I would have told her, he would have killed mom." And he kept that a secret all those years. I didn't find out till he was 12 years old, Chantel.
Yeah,
Had I
that's
known that would have happened, I would have, I swear to you, I would have killed that man if I would have
yeah,
known what he'd done to my son at that age. I may have
um,
been 17 or 18 years old, but I would have killed for him.
for sure. Absolutely. And unfortunately, that's how he would have threatened
Yep.
Donovan by
And
telling
that's
him,
exactly what he did.
yeah, by telling him he's going to kill you. And
Yeah.
of course, now you being the closest one to him,
Mhm.
you're the one that is going to keep getting his
Mhm.
anger until
Always.
he heals from that. Wow.
Exactly. And when he left home, now this is another part of the story because and Jerry knows this. The other part of the story is that when I kicked him out when he was 17, okay, I had also previously he had to go. He got a little violent another time when he was 15, and I had to put him into a home for like 2 weeks for him to get some therapy. And according to Donovan, he was molested by one of the counselors in that home, but he had to deal with that with the social worker. He didn't deal with that with me. So I don't know what actually happened with that, but he was also molested when he was 15.
All I know is that sexual trauma
Yep.
um, is a very crazy thing for these kids.
It's
You know,
awful.
every one of the victims that I deal with that have been sexually traumatized, there's always some kind of disassociation.
Hmm.
The DID sets in. And of
Hmm.
course, when the DID happens, that's when these things will not take over the body because,
Yep.
it would have most certainly come in from that nasty ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Who,
And what happened with Donovan, it wasn't just sexual molestation. This boyfriend, this came out in because I made the doctors prove it to me when he was in the state hospital. He took a cigarette lighter to Donovan's penis and burned his skin, his foreskin.
oh,
That's the truth. Do you know when I found that out, I collapsed. That came out in this state hospital's report when Donovan finally told his story about this man hurting him the way he did. It wasn't just about the molestation. It was more than that.
And this
so,
government is allowing that to happen at an unprecedented rate. I mean, these people have to be stopped. You know, they
yeah,
have to be stopped. Look at the damage that this is doing to these kids. And there's
exactly. And look at
many,
the
many
extended,
thousands of them coming into the US that they've completely lost track of, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
They don't know
Oh,
where
it's
they
awful.
are.
Yep.
This is ruining an entire generation, and the U.S. government is complicit.
And well, the
And
US
both
government,
both of us live in Arizona, and we're having 20,000 immigrants coming across our border per month right now. It's
Right, and they
impossible to be out
and
past 5 o'clock at night.
and the Arizona Supreme Court has upheld that.
Yep.
They're paid off by the Sinaloa cartel. They're paid off by Soros, and nobody can talk to them. It's like,
Mm-mm.
oh, it's okay with us if the Arizona border stays open. And these people are all over town. They're homeless all over town. There's homeless places all over Arizona, and it's getting worse.
It is, and kids are getting and but honing this back with what Donovan went through. Imagine being a really young mother, a child raising a child. No excuses. I was not a perfect mother. I was a single mom for the better part of most of Donovan's life. Okay. I got into a bad relationship out of necessity. He was 33 years old. This guy took care of me. He provided food. He provided a roof over my head, and I thought I was safe with him, only to discover that he was a child molester.
and they would use the soft targets such as you, single mom, vulnerable, little
Yep.
kid, play
Yep.
the role so perfectly. It is disgusting. Janine, I
Yep.
am so, so sorry for
And I
what you.
was young, and I've read comments in the comment section of these interviews I've done, and people don't understand. This is not an easy story for me to tell, but it's important because the reason why it's important is because there is a lot of schizophrenia out there that's not being handled. Kids that have schizophrenia, even adults, are super sensitive people. No matter what anybody says, they are sensates. They are sensitive people. They feel everything. So they intoxicate themselves to not, they don't want to feel. They want to have a normal life. They feel. And why is that important to understand? Because those entities and those spiritual attacks that these black dark energies do, they attach themselves to those vulnerable children and adults that are so sensitive to everything, and they're gravely misunderstood. People with schizophrenia are gravely misunderstood. They're super intelligent people. My son is super intelligent, but this darkness that he is in with this entity doesn't allow him to be the human being he could. He turned into this horrible serial murderer, not even a
They
serial murderer, just a murderer.
they hate the human race. They
They
absolutely
hate
hate the
yeah,
human
these
race.
entities hate the human
A-
race.
and they hate babies even more, which makes
Yeah.
it even more abominable that the U.S. government is complicit with its child trafficking
Yep.
across our border. They don't even know where these kids are going now. All they have to do is have an address. They don't check anything out. They're coming in
Yeah.
by the thousands, and of course, they're ending up being raped and abused and
God
molested. And
only knows what
Well,
God
else.
only
they're
knows.
expendable. When you're dealing with people in the system, you understand their hierarchy kids and there are expendable kids. The
Yep.
expendable kids are used for trafficking, well, obviously for abuse, sexual abuse. They're used for organ harvesting. They're used for
Blood.
it's very ugly. It's very,
Yep.
very, very ugly. And I think it's the time that this stuff has to come up. And I know we pretty much kind of running out of time now, but
Understood.
Janine, I would love to hear more of your story and have you share on our platform more with both you and Jerry, because I know
I would
Jerry.
love that. Whatever I can do to help, really, I mean
Yeah.
that, because I think more people and parents need to understand and not be afraid to talk about it. Listen, I'm a career woman. I went to college. I'm a paralegal. I work in the legal industry. I've been doing this for 40 years. I need you to understand that I was a very proud woman. And I swept Donovan's schizophrenia under the rug until I couldn't anymore. And this murder that he did to Allie, where he cut her up in a million pieces, completely shattered my life. It shattered it in a million pieces. I nearly died from a broken heart, but I also died from having to remember his voice telling me what he was doing. Okay. The thing is that these things can't be swept under the rug anymore. If you've got a family member that has schizophrenia, don't sweep it under the rug. Find a place to talk about it. I have a Facebook group. It's called Moms and Family Members with Schizophrenia. I don't post in there a lot because honestly, I've been trying to pick up the pieces of my life for the last 2 or 3 years. And when Jerry invited me to be here, I was so honored to be there because I really want to get the word out there and I want to do more in that group. But there's a lot of really great videos, and Sherry's in there, and Jerry's got a website and a Facebook group also. And Sherry's got That's a Lie program. There's so many resources out there. If you are just brave enough, you have to have courage. Jerry has been hugely instrumental in me having the courage. When I first met him, I had the courage to reach out to him because I knew I had to make a difference, because I noticed in all of his videos, I watched all of them, that he had no mom out there of a family member in any of his videos that actually had real life experience outside of the hospitals that he worked in, of real life events, of situations like this particular situation. And yes, granted, it's on the complete extreme, Chantel. It's the worst possible thing. I would never wish this on any family member or anybody, to ever have to go through and make the choices of having to call the police, doing the things that you have to do to get your child arrested for a brutal murder that he's committed. I promise you, it's not something I would ever wish on anybody. But what I am saying is that people don't sweep this under the rug. It's a very real situation, and we are inundated of a war of attrition in our world today, good and evil. It's good and evil. And the more that the evil is squashed and smashed down, the good's going to come out and the light's going to shine a light on it. But we can't sweep this under the rug. You can't enable your children and the monsters that live within them, because all they're going to do, you're going to end up hurting yourself, and you're going to end up getting hurt by that demonic possession when it comes out. Whether it's safe for 1 minute or 6 months or a year, when you have to remember that you're putting your life in that person's hands. If they are living in your house and they have those episodes, you can get hurt badly by these demons, because they don't want you to love them. They don't want you to love that family member. They don't want you to love anybody. So that's,
I've seen that over and over again. Mothers getting hurt trying to protect the kids, and they get seriously hurt. Some of them are killed.
There's a movie. Sorry,
People
Jerry.
have to realize these voices are entities. Don't believe the psychiatric mafia when they're telling you that these are hallucinations. These
They're
are
not
not hallucinations. These are entities that are taking over these individuals.
But I
This is
also
a
want to
spiritual
say,
battle.
when you're dealing with people in the arcane, and if you speak to one of the guests I have regularly, is a guy called Caleb Jade. Caleb actually, he's half Native American, half German. He's also been on my shows many times. Also very, very gifted spiritually, etc. Taken into the system, traumatized to the hilt. I mean, been in the Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt is a mythical hunt where these creatures come out on the 31st of October and hunt the kids. The most horrific things. And it's all kids that are trained through the Gateway experience. He was in the military for 35 years, basically, super duper combat warrior, and ended up being in the arcane. They pushed him into the arcane, where he was a master of all 9 levels of magic. He was a mage. And exactly what you're talking about now is exactly the thing. What they do, and psych wards and prisons are the main pie, if you want to call it that, because these are very, very tormented people through something called soul harvesting.
Yes.
And they do so with crystals, and it doesn't have to, they call it a soul gem. It doesn't have to be a crystal per se. Crystals cut in, not any crystal. And please, it's got to be a specific crystal cut in a specific way, okay? And also with certain objects, it could be a ring, it could be a trinket. They literally, what they do is they take that soul and they harvest it in the crystal.
Oh my God.
Hang on. So that becomes the battery, which is why the energy is drained. Then that body, like your son, Donovan, that body becomes the body for which they're the Raphaim, by the way. These entities, they're not demons, they're called Raphaim. The Raphaim are the dead Nephilim. They're too low vibrating to be able to incarnate and create their own bodies. So what happens, and this is also something that we've spoken about a lot on my shows, there's something called homunculi. If you look at the Cabbage Patch Kids, the turn of the century, these babies in these incubators, these babies are created by the mages, the alchemists. They are not God created children, right? They created from where they call it dirty DNA. Then when they are grown, they're fully grown into normal babies, they are then matched with one of the Raphaim spirits, the ones that can't create their own body. They don't reincarnate and are not born from the spark of God like we are. And that's what we're dealing with here. So what they do then is they will then take that soul,
Yep.
which then becomes a battery for magic, right? So they then use that person's power, they usurp the power and use it as a battery, whilst on the other hand, these Raphaim are coming in and using that soul, that body, sorry, as a host. There's a very interesting movie. In fact, Caleb Jade got me to watch it. It's called Nefarious.
I've
The
heard it.
movie's called Nefarious, and it's about a guy that actually goes into prison. And exactly what we're talking about here, he was possessed at the age of 4, I think 4 or 7 maybe, um, by his parents playing with Ouija boards.
Oh,
That's how they invited these entities in. And that's how this thing took over his body and he killed people. And then you also see his little personality coming out, trying to fight. And and then also same thing. There's a psychiatrist that sits with him. It's his last day. He's supposed to be electrocuted that night. And these demons, we have to know, they know everything. They are so
yes,
psychic. They are
yes,
so psychic.
like it,
Don't
yes.
be fooled when, oh, that's such a brilliant psychic. She knew exactly everything about me. That's not a good thing, okay? That's generally not a good thing. So, and he says to this guy, by the time you leave here today, you're gonna have murdered 3 people. And the guy says, you're kidding me, whatever. And it turns out how he'd actually put his mother into this suicide, like this, what do you call it in Switzerland, where they can choose to be suicided. He got
Oh, yeah,
Euthanasia?
his wife.
euthanasia.
Yes, that's right. And his girlfriend at the time he was speaking was having an abortion. And by the time that he left, then he was electrocuted that night. But it's amazing how that demon will choose the worst experience for that body. He wants that body to be in pain. He wants to have the
Yes.
worst, most painful, horrific experience for that human. They hate us because
Yep.
we have the ability to incarnate. They are after our consciousness. Our consciousness is what they want, our soul. We have
Yeah.
souls, they don't. They
Yes.
want our souls. That's why they've got to steal it
Mhm.
and charge their own disgusting antics like a battery, like your son right now. And
Yeah, I
he,
believe that. I believe that that's very true. Jerry and I were just talking about that this morning.
he can get it back. He can get it back. It's going to be a process though, but he
Mhm.
can get it back.
Absolutely.
He
Yeah.
can come back. I have no doubt about that. And I am so praying for you and your child that he finds his way home. I
Yeah,
believe
I
in
me too.
miracles. I'm a great believer in miracles, Janine. And I just know, I know the people that watch my shows. I know how supportive they are. I know how they pray for people. It just in terms of, I think we all understand the survivor community is a very hectic one to walk right now.
Yes,
Lots
it
of
is.
survivors coming out, sharing their stories, lots of fake survivors coming out, speaking nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It's so
Mhm.
there's so much infiltration happening all over the show right now. But these are the true stories that we need to bring up, and the truth definitely does set us free. And
I would like to close with this poem because when
sure.
I sent this to my son in my last letter to him, and it's a very short one, but it's about love because I can't stress enough the importance of being loved. It doesn't matter how bad things get and how depressed you get, and no matter the darkness, it's all relative to our own personal experiences. We have to remain in love. No matter what, we must stand steadfast in love. And this poem means that to me. And I sent this to Donovan because I really want him to feel this. So here's the
Yeah.
story. It's a
They
story
they
poem.
hate they hate love. They
They
hate
hate
being
love.
sent love. They can't stand it. It like burns them.
Yes, it burns exactly. Once upon a time, There was an island where all the feelings lived: happiness, sadness, knowledge, and all of the others, including love. One day it was announced to the feelings that the island would sink. So all of them constructed boats and they left, except for love. Love was the only one who stayed. Love wanted to hold out until the very last possible moment. When the island had almost sunk, love decided to ask for help. Love went to Richness. Richness was passing by love in a grand boat. Love said, Richness, can you take me with you? Richness answered, no, I can't. There is a lot of gold and silver in my boat. There is no place here for you. Love decided to ask Vanity, who was also passing by in a beautiful vessel. Vanity, please help me. I can't help you, love. You are all wet and you might damage my boat, Vanity answered. Sadness was close by. So love asked, Sadness, let me go with you. Oh, love, I am so sad that I need to be by myself. Happiness passed by love too, but she was so happy that she did not even hear when love called her. Suddenly there was a voice. Come, love, I will take you. It was an elder. So blessed and overjoyed, love even forgot to ask the elder where they were going. When they arrived at dry land, the elder went her own way. And realizing how much was owed the elder, love asked Knowledge, another elder, who helped me? And Knowledge answered, it was time. Time? Asked love. But why did time help me? Knowledge smiled with deep wisdom and answered, because only time is capable of understanding how valuable love is.
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful? Because that's where we have to be. We can't be violent. We can't be filled with hate. We cannot be filled with anger. We have to be love. We have to. And it's not going to be easy. Moms and dads and grandmas out there, it's not easy to love your child when they've done awful things. Not maybe to the extent that my son has done by any means. It's all a level of understanding where you're at in your life at that moment. But I promise you, be love, and you will find miracles that will come out of that like you would not believe. And it's difficult because you're going to get mad and they're going to say things to you and they're going to do all kinds of stuff. But you have to remain steadfast in love. And if you can do that, you got this.
They will
That's
try to
So
drive you away.
That's right.
I, s-
The
I
voices
so
don't want any connection with family, friends, wife, their girlfriend. They want the victim, the schizophrenic, isolated from everybody. They don't want any interference with them trying to take the person over.
That's right.
it's
They're
only through
entities.
facing such pain and destruction and heartache and walking such a close a path with your creator and be that love from your creator, whether you choose to call it God, source, whatever. Um, and I speak from personal experience here, choosing to let the pain go and transforming that pain and choosing to become love through it is not an easy process, but it's the most liberating thing ever.
Oh, it is. It
My
is.
my partner was killed in a hijacking a couple of years back, a number of years back.
Oh,
And I went to, long story short, I um, I went to visit when they caught him. I went to see him in prison um, because I wanted to understand what went down. And as I went in, of course, the cops was, hey, you can't this, have you got a gun? So I'm saying, I said, I come in love, I come in forgiveness. And I don't know if you know the book called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran.
Yeah.
yes.
And in there is a section on crime and punishment. And I photocopied that chapter and I said to him, I know you won't understand this now, but I want you to read this. I mean, he was a short little blonde haired guy. I mean, in South Africa, when someone gets murdered, you immediately assume it's an African person because they're all the criminals, right? No, no, no. A little blonde haired, blue eyed boy, surfer boy, also had a terrible upbringing. And before all of that, with the murder and everything, the cops were working very close to me. And the cops actually gave me a free pass. They said, he's got a girlfriend and a daughter, 3 years old. He has the address. How about that? And I said, no, thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
I went to visit him and I forgave him. And it's because of that I do the work I do today.
Yes.
Because of that forgiveness,
Yeah.
that I knew God had a much greater purpose for me.
Yeah.
And sister, and I have to tell you, my sister's a brilliant astrologer. And she looked at my chart at the time and she said to me, Chantal, you can do two things here. She said, you can sink or you can swim. She said, you can either become South Africa's next Winnie Mandela. And at that stage, Winnie Mandela was very much known for her necklacing. In other words, putting tires and setting people alight, very violent.
Yep.
Or this is going to be the greatest spiritual growth you've ever done in any life you've ever lived. I said, I choose that.
Yes.
Knew that I became the
Absolutely.
healer that I am. I mean, I was born gifted, seeing things, right?
Understood.
That's what I
Understood.
see.
Yep.
So I was able to then, after that, put my gift into alignment. And I then created a gift that God gave me that was so abstract that people could not understand what I was talking about as a child. I saw energy, I saw things in the body. I was able to know exactly what to do at certain times. I could heal little animals. My friend died, I brought her back to life. Literally, stuff like that, you know. I had it and it was done through God,
Yes.
no one else except that.
Mhm.
And so through that, I've worked with people for the last 25 years doing what I do. And it's such a blessing to meet someone like you because I so understand I've not been through what you've been through. I've had my heart ripped out of my chest through uncontrollable means or methods. And I think together we can all knit together a fabric of healing as opposed to
Yes.
fragments of pain and
Yes.
shards of glass that just hurt more and more. Forgiveness of your son is something I would love, just that people can see what happens. He's
I know. Me too. I feel that.
victor.
I
He's a
feel that with
victim.
what you just said.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know where Donovan's going to go. I don't know what's going to unfold for him. I don't know if he'll do it in my lifetime. Okay. I really don't. I'm 63 years old, Chantrell. I
You're
need you to understand.
41. What are we talking
I
about
am
here?
63 and I need you to understand, I don't know how long this is going to last, but what I can tell you, I'm not giving up. I'm not saying my son and Jerry, I'm telling you, Jerry is like the last letter that I read to you, he said, Janine, you really just need to stop talking to your son. I said, Jerry, I can't.
You
I'm
can't. We're mothers. As a mother,
Yeah.
there's always, if my child, and let me tell you, my child is, I mean, he's not a criminal in any way, but he's made some questionable decisions in his life.
of course.
And I have come down on him like a ton of bricks to the point where he's speak to me for periods in time. But nonetheless, as a mother, you cannot give up on your child. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't. My
You
I've,
can't.
sister,
I've, I've, I've seen that in the institutions where the voices were telling the mother to harm the child. And some of the most vicious, horrendous battles that I've ever seen was between the mother and the voices. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never
right?
seen such vicious battles before where the mother was resisting hurting the child. And the voices, I mean, it was just like a horrendous battle. And it went on and on and on. The mothers never gave up.
Yeah.
And Jerry seen the video in a future interview. I will get that video for you. It's about a 7.5 minute video that you can witness the transformation of Donovan's personality when that demon possesses him. It is blood curdling. It's just like, whoa. I mean, you can see the demonic possession just coming, and he's just like, ah.
I've
And
seen
and
that.
and he was not to be around when he got in those moods. I had to like lock the doors, close the windows, because he was violent and he would have hurt me.
It wasn't
And
him anymore.
and
Wasn't
it
the
wasn't, yeah,
Donovan
because it wasn't him anymore. You see.
Exactly. You can't even begin to think that that's your child. And that I
Yes.
think is what so many people need to understand, because I think this happens more often than we realize. That
Absolutely.
I was actually watching a podcast a couple of days ago, and it was the thing was raised by a demon, and I was like, what the hell is this about? But literally, this child was talking about her father who was possessed by exactly what you're talking about, and how it was for a child to be raised by someone who was possessed by these entities.
Mm,
It's happening more and more all over, and I think we have to make these conversations normal, because
I agree.
I think it's more normal than what we even begin to realize.
And you know
Anyway,
what? I give Jerry the credit for this because Jerry has been so many times blocked on YouTube. He has been like completely blacklisted sometimes off of Facebook. And Jerry, I commend you. Jerry, for the last decade has been pushing this conversation. And you know what? I started watching more of his videos recently, and I had to get caught up on a bunch of them. And what I've noticed is that he's not getting blocked as much as he used to. You're not getting
um,
blocked as much as you used to, Jerry. But what I've noticed is that what's beautiful is that you're meeting more people and you're getting more out
yes,
there, and this conversation is
absolutely.
becoming more normal because of your perseverance on this topic alone. And I just need you to understand how much
It's
what you've done
groundbreaking.
is going to go down in history for this
Yeah,
movement of making people aware of the tremendous amount of knowledge that people need to understand about schizophrenia. It's not a disease. It's
I
not a
agree.
disease.
No, it's a
I
spiritual
agree,
battle.
Jerry. Your information is groundbreaking. When I heard your first interview, I was like, no, no, this guy's coming onto my show. I'm going to hunt him down until I find him. Took me a few months. He ignored my emails initially.
Jerry.
Can you believe it? What am I supposed to feel? Oh, the rejection of it all.
I probably just
So
lost them. Knowing me, I probably lost them.
Yeah, no,
you
Jerry, I
know,
can.
I sent him a letter out of the clear blue sky because I had met Sherry Sweeney on an astrology show of one of my most favorite astrologers. And Sherry got an interview with Robert Phoenix, and I bought the book, I read the book, and then I started researching him, and I found out he actually lived in Tucson. And I mysteriously, through the grace of God, was able to send him a letter, and he received it, and he sat on it for 2 weeks, and he didn't know what to think. I think I scared you, didn't I, Jerry, a little bit? Because
No,
he
but
said, "How did she find out what my address was?" And I sent him
yeah,
a priority
that
mail, and he got it.
that did
It
freak
took him
me out.
2 weeks to respond
Here-
to me.
Here's his priority mail envelope coming in with this story, and it was like, yeah, it freaked me out. It's like, what do I do with this?
I was not gonna let him not listen to me. Because I needed somebody who knew, because at that point I was still coming out of the dark night of the soul. I was still healing from pneumonia. I was still processing all of the data, and I still do. I still have nightmares. I still have things that happen, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm not going to let it stop me because, I just can't. I can't. And I thank Jerry so much for taking that moment and calling me. He called me it was around 10 o'clock, 8 Lionsgate that year. And
Wow.
he called me 3 times. I was sleeping and I didn't hear my phone. And then I saw it, like, "Wait, who the heck is calling me?" And I didn't have his number in my phone because I didn't know his phone number. And he said, "You need to call me right now. This is Jerry Marzinsky." And I called him. I listened to the voicemail and I called him back, and we talked for way past midnight that night, didn't we, Jerry?
Yeah, we did. We went on and on forever.
Yeah, and it and
Wow.
it was nothing but a grace and a blessing. And then I got to meet Sherry Sweeney, and together we've just kind of been stumbling upon new things on how to get that word out there, and
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Well, I'm certainly here. I'm down to get the word out. So
Yay!
we will continue. And I want to just say thank you so, so,
Thank
so
you.
much,
And
Jerry,
Jerry, yeah.
for joining me again tonight. I know, well, it's morning for you guys. Um, I always have great conversations with you because I so resonate with everything you say, and I so know it to be true. And I know you work with the Mace Energy Method as well. I'm going to put both Jerry and Janine's details in the description area, and then you guys can contact them. But Jerry, I know, does the Mace Energy Method as well, which is incredible. I've done 2 sessions with him on that. That's been absolutely phenomenal. I can highly recommend. Nothing dodgy, nothing fishy. You're working with you and God, and your spirit is healing the wounds of your body.
Absolutely.
That simple, and it's that beautiful. Janine, I want to say thank you to you as well
Thank you. Thank
for
you.
joining us, because I think your story is so important to get out. I think, when it comes to mental health and stuff like that, there's such a bad label attached to mental health, something people generally feel ashamed of. And as you
Yes.
say, feel the need to sweep under the carpet. Those days are over.
Yes.
And the
And
psychiatric mafia,
Absolutely.
the
Yep.
psychiatric mafia has perpetuated so many lies about mental health and mental illness. They lie
right,
after lie after lie after lie, all to enrich themselves.
Yes.
Big Pharma is making $14.7 billion a year selling these antipsychotic drugs that cure absolutely nothing. They just tamp down symptoms. They don't
Yeah.
want a cure. They've reduced the money for research down to a dribble. They want the money. They don't make money from curing people. They make money from endless treatments like they do with schizophrenics.
Absolutely. 100%.
absolutely. It's a money-making mafia, and we know that. And really, when we get down to just living in harmony with God's laws of nature, and just living in harmony with nature on so many levels, everything starts balancing out again. So thank you so much. I don't know, Jerry, is there anything you just want to say
Well, I
in
just want to
closing?
say if you want more information about the voices and how we came to the conclusion that these things were not hallucinations as the psychiatric mafia is pushing, Sherry Sweeney is my co-author in this. She heard voices when she was a young girl. It took us 2 years to write this thing, and you will understand more about what the voices are and how they operate after reading this than ever before. And this
Very
flies
good
right
read.
in the face of the psychiatric mafia and what they're trying to
Absolutely.
scam you with.
Yep.
And there's
Absolutely.
more information on my website at jerrymarzinsky.com, including
We'll,
Sherry's That's a Lie program.
we'll be putting all the details, contact details below. So any contact, anyone wants to contact you, they can, or check out your website, get your book, all the details will be there. Do you need anything you'd like to say just in closing?
Be love. Don't stop loving. Don't stop loving. Continue loving. I don't care how hard it gets. Just be love with that loved one that needs your love, because that is going to squish down that dark energy. Just continue to be love, no matter how hard it is, no matter what people tell you and how can you do this or whatever. You have to be love. You have to. And it's not easy. You have to stop yourself when you find yourself getting angry or upset. You just have to stop and take a breath and be love and work in love and just do that. That's all you can do. That's the best thing you can do.
I will absolutely attest to that. Love truly is the tool, because love will elevate you out of bad situations. It'll
Absolutely.
elevate you through walls. It will, really, it does. It
It
really,
does.
really does. And there's no witchcraft or witchy, dodgy stuff involved. When you're in love, you have your trust, you have your faith, you walk in alignment with light. And that's
Absolutely.
there is. And our light is so bright that these things run away.
Yeah.
Or like, think about bright headlights coming down the road.
That's a good
They
analogy.
run away, right? And
Yeah.
also, or they get dissolved. Think about going into a dark room and just striking a match. Boom. That's all it takes to see what's
Yeah,
around you. Love
exactly.
truly
And the
is.
shadows,
Yes,
cannot
exactly.
live in the light.
Right, exactly. Sometimes the shadow is good. You need the shade. You
You
need
do.
to sit under that shade, but you
Yeah.
got to use discernment as to which is good shadow.
And that's right. So true. Yeah, that could be
Okay.
misconstrued a little bit, but when you're in the light and you're walking in it and you're being as spiritually attacked, and I'm sure Chantel, you can say this with great confidence. Those of us that walk in the light and we walk in that journey and we're connected with our chakras and we are walking in spirit and we are walking in love and we are walking in the light, we are prone to being attacked more from a spiritual, physical manifestations that come to us when we, just kind of out of the blue, we know that energy when we see it, but because we do walk in that, we are attacked more, I think, than other people are because we're strong. They don't want us. They want us to get out of their way. They don't want us around. Do you
Oh,
feel that
yes.
when you walk in that light?
Oh, yes. And you know what was very interesting? Exactly the Gnostic conference that I was organizing. You better believe how much these creatures did not want me doing that conference.
Oh,
I can tell you every single interview I did, and there I think I did like 8 or 9, there was some kind of a disruption that happened like literally minutes before I was supposed to interview whoever. And after the second or the third time, I went, I see you, F you, I'm going. Bye.
ah!
And
When
here we
Jerry and
are.
I first, when Jerry and I first started doing interviews, I'm not kidding you. His computer, my computer, and even when we did one with Sherry, Sweeney,
Yeah.
our computers like would just get so jacked up and so messed up. I burnt copal before I started this because I prayed and I asked for the light to come in and guide my words and whatever that needs to happen that's in the highest and best good of all. And this was the first video, even the last one that I did, I still had a little bit of computer problem. This one went so smooth.
Yeah, which
And
is
Jerry and I
unusual.
used to have trouble all the time
Yeah.
trying to
I
get
mean,
these
and
videos
in
done.
all these interviews where I'm talking about this sonic stuff, there's usually some disruption. The sound goes out, the
Yes.
picture goes out, the signal gets poor. I mean, there's usually something. This is unusual for it to go this smooth.
Well, I
Right.
mean,
The only really thing that happened was that the audio for that song, but it wasn't meant to be. So I look at that as a divine guidance, right?
yeah,
The people
absolutely.
didn't need to hear it,
Absolutely.
but they got to understand the lyrics behind that. So there's a blessing in that. It wasn't meant for the listeners to hear it. If they want to hear it, they can go do that. And that's absolutely right with Jerry. This is honestly the first video I think we've done that we haven't had those anomalies, right, Jerry?
Yeah, yeah,
It's really true.
yeah. Which is
Crazy.
Well,
unusual.
maybe just we just shattered that barrier. I like to think. Just
Yeah.
another little feather in our caps,
That's
you know,
right.
and we will march forward and march onwards. And I want to just say
Absolutely.
thank you to
Yeah.
everybody who's been watching the show and supporting our our guests because wow, what a story that is. Janine, I definitely would love to have you back again to share some more because I think there's so much you can share with parents, people. I think there's a whole world out there that needs to hear your as well as Jerry's voice. So
Yeah,
I look
just reach out
forward
to Jerry anytime because we stay in touch and whatever,
oh, wow.
topic or thing that you need to, you know, shore up, we'll be there for you. I know I will be, and I know
Yeah,
Jerry
and
will
you
be
don't
too.
necessarily need me either. I mean, you two guys can get together. I'd be glad to be there, but
Oh.
It's always good to have a male that balances us, Jerry. That balancing us.
Because we could
That,
get off on girl talk real easy
yeah,
on this
exactly.
topic,
well,
I think.
yeah, I see, I see.
We need you to get us back on track again.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good
Yeah,
at
we
that.
need you, Jerry. We need you.
All right,
So,
okay,
you're not getting out of this.
all right, I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. God bless you all. Take beautiful care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes,
And I'll
you
Thanks,
too.
see you very,
thanks
very
for
soon.
having us.
Yes,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much. It was a
Bye
pleasure.
bye, everyone.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.